From a professional soccer career to becoming a driving force in the mortgage industry, Brian Covey has shown what it takes to find your competitive edge. Get off the sidelines and get in the game. Find your competitive edge with Brian Covey.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another edition of Finding Your Competitive Edge. So let me just tell you, today's going to be different. We're actually going to dive into a unique tool that was shared with me by our guest today. And Justin Breen shared this Kolbe Index. And I'm just going to tell you guys, if you're not familiar with it, you're going to want to take notes. You're going to buckle up today, as I personally have taken it, started sharing it with our team. And now Justin's connecting me up with all these people, and he's sharing these numbers. I still don't know what half of them mean yet, but we're going to unpack that for you. And selfishly, I'm going to learn some things today. So let me give you a little background on Justin. So he's a Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling author. And what I love is you work with visionaries. It's one of the first things you shared with me. And for anyone listening today, whether you're an entrepreneur, an intrapreneur, wherever you are in your life, you could be a student today, it doesn't matter. Knowing more about yourself, knowing more about the people that are in your life, whether they're on the same team, same company, family, helps you relate to them. It helps you, I believe, have a better quality of life because you actually know who you are, what your strengths are. So, Justin, my friend, I can't wait to dive into this one because you've got my brain looking at this, sharing it with people, and I'm like, I still don't know what it all is. We're going to break it down.
Well, this is the first time I've ever been interviewed where I have nothing else to add. I mean, we could stop the interview now. You just basically summed up. Because if you know who you are and who you want to be a hero to and how you help people, then all this other stuff really takes care of itself. So I just focus on spending time with my family and understanding who I am, who I'm not, and then focusing on that purpose of life. So that's a lot of fun.
Dude, isn't it? I think the mission of life is discover, as they say a lot of times, who you are, and then you can take that in that second phase of like, now you can go serve people and show up and make a difference. And most never do the first part.
No.
The second part's such a mess that's like, why do I have such tension in my life? But
I can answer that. So I know you have all these questions as your follow through is kicking in, but I don't follow rules or procedures or order. But like, there are two reasons. My brain, all I do is talk to the world's top visionaries all day and then simplify into patterns. So there are two reasons from a work aspect that most people are miserable in their lives because everything's a pattern. But so one is they never find out what they're good at or what they like to do. So you have people doing something every week, several hours a day that they're not good at or don't like to do. That's most of society. That's one. And then two, this I don't understand. They find out what they're good at, what they like to do, and they never do anything about it. That's completely illogical to me. So,
yeah, it doesn't relate, but I think part of it is you've studied this and and you've been joking like, hey, you like to follow this, you like to do that. Like you very quickly were able to ascertain like quickly, okay, Brian, this is you, this is what you do, this is who you are, this is how I need to talk to you. And you're like, I'll even say you shared with me, you're like, you're somewhat of a unicorn over there with what's there. And I know we'll jump into some of that, but dude, let's jump right in. Kolbe Index. How did you get introduced to it? What the heck is it? Why should people even care?
Well, it's not for people. I mean, I guess it is for people. For me, I just talk to visionaries. So for any visionary, I always know when someone's not a visionary when I tell them about this, and then they say, I'm not going to take that, or what is that? Is there a free version of that? So if someone's not a visionary, if they ask that. So every visionary I know gladly will take it, or they have taken it. And I'm not Kolbe certified or any of that stuff. It's kind of like someone who needs like a PhD to justify having an education. I don't really need any of that, but I just talk to visionaries, and then here's the answer. So Kolbe, Kolbe at A Index, it's $55 US, takes 20 minutes. It measures how your brain takes action, your brain strength. So I don't really care what your personality is. That's pretty much meaningless. I don't really care what someone does or where they live, or that. I don't really care, but I want to know if they're going to do something. And then the overwhelming majority of visionaries visionaries. So not business owners, not humans, not consultants, pure visionaries. Overwhelming majority are high quick start and little to no follow through. So that's ADD, ADHD, diagnosed, undiagnosed, and without humans or those bridges, it's a total disaster. You are, and both of us, you and I, we're both high quick start, high follow through. That's very rare. Very rare. So we're both bridges. You're a bridge. You have your own thing, but then a bridge within a company. It's perfect for being an entrepreneur. Yeah, and then I'm a bridge between visionaries and humans. And then the companies that founded and created are just extensions of that purpose and that bridge. So people with our Kolbes can usually be bridges. It's just a very rare thing. And then most business owners and humans are lower quick start, higher follow through. Stabilizing humans, that's why they need jobs or a support structure. And they're playing not to lose, which is fine. Most of the world is playing not to lose. A visionary, a high quick start, lower follow through, almost always is playing to win, and will do whatever it takes to win the game.
Yeah. Well, let's define visionary, because some people out there are probably like, you've used visionary a few times. Like, what would you define that? Who is that?
Yeah. So again, everything's a pattern, and all I do is talk to visionaries. So business owners, humans, consultants, they care about employee count, revenue, office space, material, transactional things. They're trying to change their world. There. True visionary cares about purpose, creating connectivity, time with family, loved ones, true meaning, meaningful things. So they're trying to change the world, not there, fundamental difference. So, and a true visionary will never make an excuse. Never. No excuses.
I love that definition. And you've shared that. And I was looking when we met, I was starting to look at all the stuff you were sharing around that. I was like, and I got inspired by it. I don't know if I told you that, but I'm starting looking at that, and it just starts to activate. Okay. Like, how can I do this? How can I do, and you're just like, there's sensory overload in some capacities there. But if somebody's out there, and let's start with the visionary, somebody goes, okay, Justin and Brian, like, I feel like that could be me. And
no, it is or it isn't. No, there is no.
Okay. That's what I want to know.
No. So a visionary will not. So a visionary is usually, but not always, an alien within their own family, community, and verticals. So if you spent your life talking to people and they don't understand what you're talking about, then you're a visionary. That's really what it is. So I'd venture to say our firms maybe partner with 1 out of 1,000 folks. It's probably less than that, but 1 out of 1,000 is just easier to simplify. Sure. So human or business owner thinks 1 out of 1,000 is a small number, but they don't live in abundance. They live in scarcity. So 1 out of 1,000, if there's 8 billion people, that's 8 million. 8 million is a lot. That's a lot. And then they create everything that employs everyone else.
Yeah.
And thank God the world's not all visionaries, because it'd be anarchy, chaos. The world needs far more bridges, humans, far more, because that's how it gets executed.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'm glad we got some of that out of the way, because I think for a lot of people, they're listening to this, and I always like to give context of like, let's frame this up so people aren't creating their own definition. They come in, they're like, now I'm lost. But dude, I'd love for you to jump in to Kolbe in the sense of, if somebody's out there and they're like, okay, guys, I'm listening to this. I'm gonna spend the money. And that was my first thing when you said, hey, Brian, why don't you go take this and do it? It's funny you said that. I didn't even think twice about paying for it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get access to learn more about myself.
Yeah,
and
here's the key to your. But see, that's what I mean. A visionary, they'll just do it. And for whatever it's worth in terms of Kolbe, in 6 years as an entrepreneur, zero business background, zero. Like that stuff's boring to me. I just like to see the patterns and things. But the PR firm is partnered with 2 people, 2 companies where the CEO was under a 7 quick start. Only two. And then with second company, we have no members that are under a 7 quick start currently. That might change. I don't really care if it does, but I've found that the 7 quick start, and really a 7 or under, they have to have a high IQ and or EQ to be able to game the system to become a visionary. So usually a true visionary is an 8, 9, or 10. So you and I are actually exceptions to the rule. So almost everyone I talk to is at least an 8 quick start. Most of them are 9s and 10s.
Wow. Okay. And that's what I've been around a few of those in my life when I started to look at this more, and I'm like, okay, that I can identify them now, which is cool. You talked about patterns.
Yeah.
I started learning about patterns. Like Tony Robbins probably is the one that
he's probably a 10. He's probably a 10.
Right? That's okay. That's what I was going to ask this.
A 10. He's probably a 10.
Okay. What do you think, Justin, on when he talks about recognizing patterns is one level?
Yes.
But being able to create patterns is this whole other level.
100%. So, okay. So he was, I'm in Abundance 360. Very grateful that Dr. Peter Diamandis, who runs that, he wrote the foreword for Epic Life. I'm very, very grateful for that. He doesn't usually do that. So Tony was the main speaker at the most recent Abundance 360 in California. So he was in that room to hear him talking about the patterns. And he talked about how a key to life is recognizing patterns, which, by the way, is high IQ. That's what high IQ is pattern recognition. And I found, because my thinking is 100% black and white, my wife's 100% gray, but I'm 100% black and white. But so when you find the answer, here's the answer. Okay, just focus on that. Focus on high quick starts. Non-high quick start, not going to do anything. Ignore them. Ignore it. Wrong pattern, wrong answer. Okay. So that's one. And then I think to your second point, what Tony's talking about, my interpretation of it is, so my whole life is good habits, good patterns. Good patterns become good habits. I found the best habits are the best rituals, which I think is creating your own pattern. So pattern/habits, and then there are very few of them, but the top ones become the rituals embedded into, and that's creating your own pattern. So I know you're a 7 follow through and you like context, so I'll follow through on that and give you context because I'm trying to relate to your brain. That's what your Kolbe says. So the first thing I do every day is a grateful journal to my wife. Every day. What I'm grateful for her the previous 24 hours. The most important thing for her is for someone to say thank you to her. I don't care if anyone ever says thank you to me. For her, it's very important. So that's the first thing I do every day. 6 days a week. We live in Chicago, so the weather's horrible here usually. So 6 days a week for the last 20 years, have run outside 3 to 5 miles 6 days a week, no matter the weather, and then listen to shows like this. So fueling brain, lungs, heart, muscles, all it's good. That's a good ritual. And then 5 days a week, I'll include this in that. Do a grateful journal on LinkedIn. It's a commercial for other people. I'll include this interview in that. Okay. So all of those rituals creates this pattern that if you're constantly grateful, it's very hard to be ungrateful. Constant gratitude attracts grateful, confident people, repels arrogant, scarcity, ungrateful people. That's what I've seen. And I think, to answer your question, I think that's what I feel Tony's talking about with that.
Hey guys, it's Brian here. I hope you are enjoying the show. By the way, if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur looking to grow your personal brand, make a bigger impact, maybe increase your leads and grow your revenue, let's help you get started today by connecting up with my friends over at the Brand Builders Group. You've heard me talk about them, but if you're new here, this is definitely the first step to get you started in turning your reputation into revenue. Head over to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey. Again, to set up your free brand call, go to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey to set up a free strategy call with one of the team at Brand Builders, and they will dive into your specific goals for how you want to grow your personal brand. I can't wait to hear how it goes. I'm a big fan of the rituals, and there are things that I've learned that these serve me at these points in the day, and even through seasons, I'm like, okay, I need a breakthrough. I gotta switch things up. And
seasonal rituals, smart.
Yeah, and it's moving through. So you mentioned a minute ago, and I think I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, but you talked about the mastermind you're a part of. Obviously, huge believer in that. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, like all the talks about masterminds. Like, if you're not in a mastermind today, guys, you got to get in one. But I'd love to.
It's illogical, yeah.
Right. What's your experience and why are you still part of them? Because I always love to know that.
This is amazing because now you're talking about patterns and then creating your own pattern. So this is, I mean, and I don't believe in randomness. I don't believe it. This is actually, to me, this is the ultimate answer to your question. So I invest over 100K a year in masterminds, at least. The two I spend most of my time in are Abundance 360 and then Strategic Coach 10X, Dan Sullivan, endlessly grateful for that. Okay. So keep making bigger investments to be in smaller rooms, but the people in those rooms are making bigger impact. That allows me to spend biggest investment in smallest room, which is my family, where I can make most impact. So it's the same formula: bigger investment, smaller and bigger impact, biggest investment, smallest room, wife and 2 children, biggest impact. Okay, so that's one. And then 2, started Own Mastermind, where it's high price point, invite only. It's the same thing. It's only for visionaries. Business owner stuff is barely ever discussed. My wife is transitioning out of pediatrics as she's become the COO of Second Company.
Wow.
And in the past, she's been CEO a little over 2 months, and she's an 8742 Kolbe. So lower quick start, higher follow through. She's same follow through as you. So it takes her a while to get started, but once she does, she'll never stop. So in the last 2 months, she's onboarded almost $250,000 of new members into the Second Company. And without her, it just wouldn't have taken off. Yeah. And so not only participating in rooms with bigger impact, higher investment, creating the actual room because it's all collaborative. The show, your show, the name has the word competition in it, which I find very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. In Strength Finders, Gallup Clifton Strength Finders, I'm 4th in competition out of 32 Strength Finders. So I'm high-level competitor. You're a high-level competitor. Pro soccer. You can't get to that level without being okay. But at the highest level, there is no competition. It's only collaborative. Only collaborative. So I'm gladly investing in these other groups. Gladly. And I know members of those groups gladly investing in the one I helped create. Mm-hmm. And because it's all collaborative. Everyone's helping each other. No competition.
It is the next level. And I will say for anybody out there, as you're listening to that, I love that you shared that too, because people talk about, okay, collaboration over competition. Yeah. Like, well, some people, you're in a stage of your life where you need to compete to get into that room. And 100%. Part of that competition is competing with yourself to say, I'm good 100%. Enough. I'm going to invest the money
100%.
And I'm going to show up and get in.
Yes.
So I love how you define that too, because that has been the cheat code for me as well and I love you said too, taking that information, bringing it back, and then being able to serve your immediate family, which is, that's the game.
It's the only game. Yeah. It's the only game. Yeah. One of the chapters in Epic Life is winning the wrong game, because I talk to 1 to 2 entrepreneurs every single week that have let entrepreneur life destroy their family life or prevented them from having a family or anything meaningful because they're focused on all this revenue and transactional stuff, and they torch their family. They torture a family in the process. I think to follow through on an earlier question of yours, which was great about visionary business owner, business owners are still competition. Visionary is pure collaboration. No competition. Yeah. No competition.
That's a great separator for them too, because you find that too, and I know where I am, like that collaborative side. It's the reason why I'm at the company I'm at.
100%. Yeah, you're a pure collaborator. No doubt.
Yeah, and for people listening, if that's what resonates, I'd love to break down, since I've got you, because you've shared a ton of stuff with me, but people are probably going, okay, you've talked about Kolbe, you've talked about these things, and like, and you're just interweaving them in your conversation because you know it, you own the material. But my score, for anybody listening out there, was a 5772.
Unicorn score. Unicorn.
So explain, like, because somebody's probably going, okay, I've never taken it. Like, what is that? What are the numbers?
Okay.
Yeah.
So one, a true visionary is they're just going to take it. They're not going to care for all this context. They'll just go ahead and take it. Yeah. But I will relate to everyone in audience on that just to answer your question, and it'll help you figure out your own score. So the typical person that I talk to, and when I say person, I mean barely human alien, but the typical person I talk to is a 3393. Okay. So the 9, to me, the only number that really matters is the 9. That's quick start. So 3393, the 9's a quick start. 10 is the highest. In human world, a 10 quick start is 1 out of 200 humans. In my world, it's like 1 out of 8. Almost everyone I talk to is an 8, 9, or 10 quick start. So 9 quick start, 3 follow through, 1 is the lowest. So without people with higher follow through, it's a disaster. So you and I, again, we're both unicorns. You have a 7 quick start and a 7 follow through. That's really rare. I mean, you're like pure hit the gas, pump the brakes, 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 hit the gas, pump the brakes. So people with our scores can burn out because they're literally hammering the accelerator, then slamming on the brake. Okay. Yeah. A 9 quick start, 3 follow through. There's basically no brakes. There's human brakes, but not their own. Okay. So the first number is fact finder. You're a 5 fact finder. I'm an 8. 10 is the highest. Most people I talk to, they're less than 5 fact finders. And then the last number 2, you're 5772. So your 2 is implementer. That's not executing on anything. That's just using your hands to build or draw. I'm a 1. If there was a 0, I would be a 0. Like, I don't know how to hold a pencil right, and drawing's a nightmare for me, or building anything. I don't want to even think about it, but I can see things in space, and, I can hear it. I can hear the connectivity. But so that's what the 4 scores mean. And again, usually visionaries are somewhere in the 3393 range. And then like an engineer or a lawyer would be an 8822. That's high fact finder, high follow through, low quick start. And then a construction worker would be a high implementer, because they're like a handyman, building stuff all the time. Does that answer your question enough?
It does. And it's funny you said you probably take the score and you just ran with it. I pretty much did. I just took this opportunity where I'm like, you're here. I'm going to ask. I'm going to see what it means, but also serve the audience, because I know people are out there going, okay, Brian, I take this. Like, what are you? What does this mean? What is all this stuff? And so we've covered some cool things. And I think you've hit on. I want to go back to one though, because I love what you said a minute ago about how much of success, when I was brought up in corporate America, 13 years and all that, how much was just, man, like all about the business and the revenue and the KPIs and all.
Yeah. And those are low quick starts, high follow throughs.
Okay. And they were willing to torch relationships, their health, all of it.
Wait. You're talking about the CEO or the employees?
More of just the corporate culture was more so.
Most of corporate. So, okay. So corporate culture, when I think of corporate culture, I think law, higher education, financial, religion, whatever it is, politics. So that's low quick start, high follow through, argue instead of action, cost instead of investment, playing not to lose. That's playing not to lose, taking forever to make a decision. A visionary just plays to win and just does it. No overthinking, just execute. So why are there 17 meetings in corporate? Because you have to have 30 people who are low quick start, high follow throughs justify why they're having a meeting instead of doing anything. That's the action is having a meeting that doesn't do anything. So that, that's most of the world. So I just focus on the visionaries that have high quick start, low follow through, and they employ everyone else, and then I can help them, and then they can help everyone else.
Man. Yeah, you just summed up a whole lot in a quick little fight there, where we're all like, why are we having a meeting to have a meeting to have a meeting?
Yeah, well, that's humans. So, one of my great friends, he's a 3287 Kolbe. He's well over genius IQ. He's a 153 IQ, Pete Covey. So I'm paraphrasing him. So he's like, most humans, they have a sheep mentality. And then a visionary is a sheepdog. So a sheepdog. And then I'll explain what Tony is in a second, and what I'm becoming also, because you just keep getting better, evolving, right? So I looked it up because I'm a high fact finder. Sheepdogs only have 2 scientific proven scientific roles. And this is a Science Daily article, I think from 2006 or something like that. So sheepdog, replace sheepdog with visionary. So 1, keep the sheep in line. 2, push them forward. Keep them in line, push. So you don't eat with them. You don't talk to them. You just don't have meetings with them. You just keep them in line. The sheep just want to meet and, eat their grass and then so visionary is the sheepdog, and then there's the shepherd, which is what Tony is, and he is a sheepdog for sheepdogs. And then my second company is a sheepdog for sheepdogs. Keep in line, push them forward. Keep in line, connect them to other sheepdogs, push them forward. So it's the same thing. I don't know if there's anything past shepherd. Maybe there is, but maybe Tony's past that. But that's what it is. So like, there's a disconnect because it's two different types of brains completely. It's a sheep brain and a sheepdog brain. It's two different animals, even though we look the same. It's just two different animals.
Oh, man. Well, I love these stories because you don't know what you're going to get. And as I was prepping for this, I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to talk about a few things over there. But I love this because people are probably listening going, whether they're a visionary or not, they know we've covered some of that. They understand the Kolbe now. And like some of these things, I think they're highly important. The mastermind piece was huge for me. I love this conversation. So people know where they fit and where they can thrive, because you think about what culture do you want to be a part of and where do you fit into?
Up to you. I mean, I don't care. Whatever someone wants to do is great. But again, if you know who you are and know who you aren't, and then you don't do anything about it, that's what I don't understand. That makes no sense to me at all.
That's the insanity loop. Okay. Right. Well, I know we've covered a ton of stuff here. I love people that will listen to this and they're going to say, okay, Brian, Justin, like one, I can go take the Kolbe. We'll have the link and all of that so you guys can take it. And, if you're not willing to pay the money, that kind of answers some questions about where you are. That's just where you are. But from your experience, Justin, if the people out there listening, they're like, yeah, I'm a visionary. Like I know, okay, maybe they've even taken the test. Yeah. What are some ways, given the current culture and like state of where we are?
No. You create your own culture. Visionary just creates their own world.
So good. I want to ask, so what does that look like? Because I hear this often. We're like, well, that's just the culture and I don't know how to change.
No. I don't know. No. So my father was 61 when I was born, 61, World War II hero, shot down multiple times in combat. He was born in 1916, shot down multiple times, just got back into a plane. You either can do that so that's a visionary. You either can do that or you make an excuse. So there's and I'm 100% black and white. So that directness eliminates people that make excuses and attracts visionaries that, where have you been? Well, I've been here, but we are surrounded by humans making excuses. So just create a world where people don't make excuses, and that attracts other people that don't make excuses.
That's it. Yeah, and attract the people that you need around you because, like you 100%. Said, can't have a company run by all visionaries.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Wow. Well, again, and then I'll even take that a step further. Again, there are exceptions to this, but usually people like us, not always, usually we marry stabilizing humans. So a teacher, my wife's a pediatrician, nurse, social worker, a human, a stabilizer. People like us sometimes do marry people like us. Two things happen when that happens that I've seen. One, greatest life ever, just incredible life, amazing. More often, it's a total disaster because there's no stability, because there's no... I was on a show like this, and the host said, that's like Thelma and Louise driving off the cliff. I'm like, that's pretty funny. But okay, and then... again, people like us usually marry stabilizing humans. Okay. One of two things happens with that. One, a situation where, like my wife and me, where she's the most supportive stabilizing human. She can keep up with the visionary and actually transform herself because of her own EQ and IQ. And then she phases out of pediatrics to become CEO of a second company. So the stabilizing human is incredibly intelligent and evolves with the visionary and is number one supporter. That's where it really is pure magic. Like, thank God for my wife and me. It's pure magic. The second thing happens, which I hear a lot, because I only talk to the visionaries. I never talk to the stabilizing human, but the visionary and the stabilizing human get divorced because the stabilizing human cannot keep up with the visionary, is not supportive, and weighs the visionary down with too many excuses. And that never works because the resentment builds up.
Yeah.
So that's what I see. I don't really see an in between with that. It's either like great magic with my wife and me, or like a lot of resentment, eventual divorce.
Dude, we just had 21 years we celebrated, and my wife was an ICU nurse for over a decade. I mean, when you said that,
I
I was
didn't
like,
know that, but there, you know, the answer. Here's that you create the. So everything you said about what Tony is, that's what I mean. I can see the patterns, and then you create a new one. That's where the magic is, when you see the new patterns.
yes.
And then people can take their own patterns and their own experience, be like, oh, that makes sense. My wife is a stabilizing human, and she's evolved with me and supportive. So, and she's a high achiever. She has to be a high achiever. So, okay, there you go.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You dropped a ton of wisdom. What have I not asked that I should have asked?
That's how I always end interviews. That's a good question. Well, I was talking to, he's 9 now, but our youngest son, Chase. So he's a visionary like us. And then he's got my wife's pediatrician, love, empathy, warmth, whatever, that harmony. So we were talking about, bending time and IQ. When we went out to dinner. And so Chase, he's 9 now. He's definitely a genius. With kindness, which is very rare. But awesome. Yeah, so he was talking about what life actually is. So he considers life one long great day. So there's no, yesterday's before you're born, tomorrow's after you die. So there's no like whatever human term is Friday. There's no August. Okay, that's just human stuff. Okay, so and he said he's a simplifier like I am. So he said there are only 2 ways to have a good long day, great long day. So one is create more living things. Fundamental purpose of any living thing is to create more living things. So that could be a child, planting a tree, starting a company, foundation, something alive. And then I don't think there's an argument to that. And then two, he said, do what you like to do and what you're good at, and just keep getting better at it. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's the single best thing I've heard from anyone. All I do is talk to geniuses. So that's the value of being an entrepreneur and being in this world, is that you can have those discussions with family, and then they can evolve and be far superior. Like our children who are 9 and 10, they're already superior visionaries to me, which is wonderful. All this other stuff is gravy to me, because I know our children are far more evolved than I am already.
I love that. That's got to be one of the coolest answers I've had. And I've got, our youngest just turned 8. We've got a 14 and 16. So I relate to the 8, of course, because I'm like, oh, this is really cool, because those are the conversations, and you start to see the beauty within them and all that. Yeah. And you're like, they give you the simplest answers, yet they're the most profound. You're like,
profound.
Wow.
Because they're unfiltered. Unfiltered. And so children are unfiltered. Children raised by unfiltered parents are really unfiltered. Children raised by unfiltered parents that are surrounded by unfiltered people in an unfiltered world with no excuses are pure visionary. The 9-year-old already is talking about taking over companies, which is fun. I'm like, great. I don't go for it. And then 10-year-old is his top 5K time is 20 minutes, 38 seconds. So I would not be surprised if he was a pro athlete like you. I would not be surprised in some capacity. But they're pure driven. They're pure drivens.
Love it.
With my wife's love, which is really interesting. So
I was going to say, it's like the perfect blend and very similar to what we offer, with those two. And it's like, okay, and I was not perfect, but at the same time, man, it is sure fun. Okay.
It's something. And then whenever I write a third book, it'll be called Epic Family, because of wife's evolution. And then one of the chapters, because you have to go out in the human world, right? The kids go to human school and then they play travel sports. So one of the chapters will be, don't blame the umpire and other things visionaries don't do. Because like you go out into these youth baseball things and you see the adults and the coaches yelling at an umpire. Many times they're like teenagers or young adults. So you have maniacs yelling at a child because there was a bad call made. And then what happens is the little kids start yelling at the umpire because they're learning from humans how to act. And so then after the game, I go tell my children, you never blame the umpire, ever. If If you lose the game, it's your fault, not the umpire. So it's a good learning thing. So I'm going to come up with a list of other things visionaries don't do, starting with playing the umpire.
That's great bonus material with our kids all in sports, and you see that happen. You're like,
right.
Oh man, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't ever do that. No excuses.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, I've loved this. Justin, this has been awesome. And I want to make sure we put a plug. Where can people find you and get your books? Because I want to make sure, like Epic, make sure they get a chance to,
One, this is tremendous interview. Unicorn, Kolbe unicorns, very rare. The second book is Epic Life. I just found out it's at Walmart. Woohoo! Yay! Yay! But no, it's all over the world and all the Wall Street Journal stuff. So very grateful for that.
We'll put a link to it and make sure to include your socials. And I just want to honor you and thank you. Dude, thanks for reaching out, connecting. And for anybody listening out there, I'll just tell you, like, there are times at which, whether you're on social or out in the community somewhere, reach out, connect up with somebody. You never know where it's going to take you. You never know what conversation will happen, how you're going to then make a connection and do that. And we talked about a lot of things today, but I know today something resonated with you. And my ask, whether you're a quick start or not, that's just who I am. I'm going to tell you, go take one action, go do one thing today as a result of this conversation, whether it's taking the Kolbe Index, you got that there, or you reach out to somebody, you join a mastermind, whatever it was, spend more time with your family. Dude, we covered a lot of bases. Somewhere in your life today, go take action. Justin, thank you, my friend. And guys, make sure you like, subscribe, leave us a comment and feedback on all of the channels there, and make sure that you let us know any guests that we need to have as well, because the podcast is created for you. You get to bring on awesome guests like Justin and get to share their unique genius and get to add value into your life. So we'll catch you on the next episode.